You've done it. Everyone's done it. You're walking somewhere with a full to-do list, and you pass a stranger holding a baby, and for half a second, your whole face goes soft and stupid. You don't know this baby. You'll never see it again. It has contributed precisely nothing to your life and is, structurally speaking, a small, loud digestive system in a hat. And still, something in you tips toward it. You'd catch it if it fell. You didn't decide that. It decided you. Hold on to that feeling. We're going to Kenya, and by the end, I want to know whether you still think it's love. Samburu National Reserve 2002, a lioness does something that shouldn't happen. She comes across a newborn oryx, a species of antelope, which to a lioness is not a fellow creature, but lunch with legs. And she doesn't eat it, she guards it. She walks it around the reserve, keeping her own kind at a distance. She lets it try, hopelessly, to suckle from her. She grows thin because a lioness cannot run on antelope-shaped feelings, and she can't hunt and babysit at the same time. Eventually, a bigger lion takes the calf, so she finds another, and does it again. Rangers watched her adopt oryx calf after oryx calf, 5, 6 of them over time, and they named her Kamunyak, the Blessed One, a predator, over and over, tenderly minding the exact animal she was built to kill. Now here's a detail that gets sanded off the inspirational version. Most of those adoptions were short, a couple of days, sometimes less than a full day. The lion expert Craig Packer, who followed the story, noted she'd sometimes slip away and abandon a calf in the night, which somehow makes it stranger, not tidier. This wasn't one grand act of devotion. It was a pull she kept feeling again and again and couldn't quite hold or quite quit. And the warm reading writes itself. Love has no boundaries. Even a lion can choose compassion over killing. Look at nature reaching across the oldest line it owns, the one between the eater and the eaten. I want to be straight with you. That reading is lovely, and it's probably wrong. Not wrong in a way that shrinks the story. Wrong in a way that makes it far weirder. Because Kamunyak isn't a one-off. If she were a single, confused cat, we'd file her under nature glitches sometimes and move on. But this keeps happening in animals that share almost nothing. In French Polynesia, a wild bottlenose dolphin, the researchers nicknamed her Thais, was seen in 2014 with 2 babies. One was hers. The other had a stubby, blunt little beak that was all wrong for a bottlenose. It took the scientists, led by Pamela Carzon, a while to work out what they were looking at, a melon-headed whale. Different species, different genus. In dolphin terms, a relative so distant, it's basically a rumor. She raised it beside her own calf for over 3 years, until it weaned. Her bond with the adopted one actually outlasted the bond with her biological daughter. Carzon's team published it in 2019, and it was only the second case science had ever confirmed of a mother raising a baby from an entirely different genus. The first, back in 2006, was a troop of wild Capuchin monkeys raising a baby marmoset, a different genus of monkey entirely. 2 confirmed cases. That's how rare and how strange this is. And then the smaller stuff, the domestic stuff, cats nursing puppies. In lab settings, dogs with new puppies have been coaxed into suckling kittens, and cats into nursing rats. The theme holds: mother, meet baby that isn't yours, proceed to love it anyway. So the pattern is real, it crosses oceans and species, and this is exactly where your chest is supposed to get warm. Animals, it seems, don't care about species, they just care. Here's the objection. From evolution's point of view, and evolution has no heart, only an accountant, this is a catastrophe. Look at the bill. You burn energy, you give away milk, you put yourself in danger standing guard. And in exchange, you raise an animal carrying not one of your genes, contributing nothing to your reproductive future. The entire engine of natural selection runs on pushing your genes forward. An animal that spends everything raising a stranger's baby of another species should, coldly, leave fewer descendants than the one that doesn't bother. Selection ought to scrub this behavior out fast, without sentiment. There's a neat escape hatch biologists usually reach for with animal kindness: kin selection. The idea, helping relatives, is a sideways way of helping your own genes, because your relatives carry copies. It's why a ground squirrel will shriek a warning and risk its neck for its siblings. Beautiful, mathematical, self-interested love, but kin selection can't rescue us here. Kamunyak and the oryx aren't relatives. The dolphin and the whale calf aren't relatives. There's no shared gene doing quiet arithmetic in the background. So the puzzle just sits there, expensive and unsolved. Why would evolution ever permit this? Now, the synthesis, and it isn't that these animals are kind, it's that they're malfunctioning. I mean that with real tenderness. The drive to nurture a baby is one of the strongest things biology ever built, because it has to be. It's the drive that keeps a species from vanishing. But a drive that strong isn't careful. It doesn't run background checks. It fires off a few crude triggers, something small, something helpless, and above all, something making the sound of a baby in distress. That distress signal is close to a master key. It's cut to unlock a mother's care for her own young, but the lock isn't sophisticated, and a key filed for a lion cub isn't that different from one filed for an oryx cap. Hit the cues, small, helpless, crying, and the machinery starts, whether or not the baby in front of you is your species. Or awkwardly, your dinner, and it fires hardest when the animal is primed. Kamunyak, it turned out, was young, solitary, cut off from any pride. Some researchers who watched her suspected she'd lost her family and was, in effect, a mother with no one to mother. That's a loaded drive with nothing to aim at. It has to go somewhere. In safe, well-fed house pets, it's a gentler version of the same overflow. No threats, plenty of food, a body built to parent and nothing to parent, so the urge spills onto whatever's nearby. Biologists, funnier than they get credit for, have described some of these cases flatly as reproductive bloopers, which belongs on a t-shirt, but which also tells you exactly how they read it. Not a moral triumph, a wiring fault. And there's a known mechanism for how the wire stays crossed. Animals usually run recognition systems that reject a baby that isn't theirs, but those systems switch on a little after birth. Get the adoption in early enough before the checkpoint comes online, and the imposter slips through and gets stamped mine. In those dog and kitten experiments, that's exactly the window they used. The alien baby was accepted before the mother's own young were old enough to move around and trigger the filter. So the misfire explanation is strong. But I promised honesty, so here's the caveat, and it's not decoration. This is thin ice. Cross-species adoption in the wild is rare and genuinely hard to study. You can't book it, you mostly trip over it. As one biologist, Eva Jablonka, put it, scientists understand very little about why it happens in the wild. Several things are probably braided together. Misdirected instinct, hormonal state, and in some young females, a clumsy kind of practice parenting before they have young of their own. Anyone selling you one clean answer is selling. What we can say is that the warm answer, they choose love, is the one the evidence leans on hardest. Which brings me back to you, and the baby in the hat. We look at Kamunyak and we see a choice. Instinct said kill, something higher said no, protect. Love beating nature, but turn it over. It might be the exact reverse, not love beating instinct, but instinct beating sense. A nurturing pull so ancient and so blind, it doesn't even pause to check whether the small crying thing is its own kind or its next meal. That's not a lion rising to our level. That's something much older than any level. And here's the part that should sit with you. The reason we're so fast to call it love is that we recognize it. That helpless tug towards something small and defenseless that makes no practical sense at all. You felt it walking past a stranger's baby 10 seconds into this story. We assume the lioness is straining up toward our kind of love. What if it's the other way around? What if our love is her instinct, just with a story wrapped around it? The thing that makes you go soft at a baby, anyone's baby, any species' baby, is older than your morality, older than your poetry, older than the word love. It was minding prey in the dust of Samburu, long before it ever wrote a line about itself. So let me actually ask you, because I keep flipping on, when you picture that lioness curled around a baby antelope, thin, patient, getting nothing out of it, do you see love or a beautiful mistake? I don't think there's a clean answer. I just want to know which way it lands for you. Tell me below. And if you like the kind of story that makes a familiar feeling go strange on you, stick around and subscribe. I've got a lot more of them. Because maybe the lioness never crossed the line between predator and prey out of love. Maybe love is just that line, already blurred, and we're the only animal vain enough to take the credit.